Hello everyone and welcome to my corner of the world. Today I have a fancy fold to share with you, and this is just kind of a Z, I guess, but it's got like a zigzag in it as well. And I've made this as a get well card, and I used on this one I've used Pacific Point and the new Bumblebee. And the one I'm going to show you, going to use some different colours, and I'm going to be using Grey Granite and Magenta Madness. So we're going to start by using the paper trimmer, and this piece of cardstock is 11 by 4 1/4. And I'm going to make sure that my cutting blade is out the way, and I'm going to score this one at 2 3/4 and 5 1/2. So there we go. And the 2 3/4 wasn't, I didn't catch it because it wasn't pushed down enough. There we go. So there's my two score lines. And then I'm going to get myself a ruler and a pencil, and we're going to just zoom in there a little bit. And I'm going to measure up here on the one side, and it's the side with the 2 3/4 inch score, and I'm going to measure up from the bottom, and I'm going to put a tiny mark at 2 inches. Then I'm going to take my ruler and place it on that mark, and then also I'm going to place it on what is the 5 1/2 inch score, and I'm just going to put myself a really light line like that. And then back with the trimmer, and I'm going to line up the mark I placed at 2 inches there with the score line down here. And I'm just hovering it over the little gap. There's a little cutting gap there. And I'm just going to cut like that, and then when we fold it, that bit goes like that and that bit goes like that. So that's for the actual card. Now I'm going to cut my DSP, my designer series paper. Now I did fiddle around with trying to work out how big this was to this bit, and cutting one piece and then trimming it, and I got myself in a real mess. So this is how I worked out how I was going to do this to get a good finish. I'm just going to put my fold in there and there. And this way, it doesn't really require very much in the way of measuring or anything. Well, a little bit of measuring, but not too much. So can you see that I am lining up this top edge of my designer series paper with where that cut point is there? And again, with my pencil, I'm just going to put a mark in like that. And then I'm just going to use my trimming blade to just cut again. And I'm just, again, hovering with the two ends of the line over the cutting groove like that. And so that will actually go on there. And if your pencil mark is still there, just get an eraser and it'll soon be gone. So there, that bit goes there like that. Now I'm now going to measure from this point to here, and that should be, she says, yeah, that's 3 inches and 3 1/8. So I want it to be 1/4 of an inch shorter, so I'm going to go 3 1/8 minus 1/4 is 2 7/8. So I'm going to cut from this point to 2 7/8. So 2, and do you know what? I find it easier to do it like this because I've got my 2 there. So my 2 7/8, and I'm just going to cut that piece like that. And when I measure up, it should fit beautifully. There you go. Now I'm going to repeat with the second one. Now this piece of designer series paper isn't going to be long enough, but I could always make a second card out of that piece. And so I'm going to take this piece, and this time I'm going to line it up with the top of the card underneath this piece. Again, I'm just going to line it up and get my pencil. Then once again, that corner there and this piece here, I'm just going to hover and cut there. And then I'm going to get hold of my pen, ruler again, and this should be 4 1/4. So it's 4 1/4 from each side, and that's because I cut the cardstock 4 1/4. So now we're just going to have this piece is going to be 4 inches long. So I'm going to line it up. There's my 4 inch there. So I'm going to line it up with that line, that point, and then just cut that off. And there we're done with the cutting and the scoring. And now we're just down to the sticking and the stamping. So I like to use liquid glue. Now, when I cut this, you may have noticed that I cut it with the same dotty side upward. And I did that deliberately because I wanted to get one side using the dots, there we go, and the other side using the other design. If I'd wanted it both to be dots, I would have made sure I cut one with the dotty side upwards and one with the alternate side upwards. But what's going to happen now is that this will go on this piece. Oh, it looks like I did it wrong. Never mind. Oh well. It looks like I'm not going to get that piece. They're different, but there you go. Doesn't matter. Nobody's going to be any the wiser. So that's basically how you create the card, the sort of the Z fold with the zigzag in it, and how you cut your pieces of paper to fit. So I'm just going to finish this one off, and I'm going to be using the Dandelion Wishes stamp set, and I've got the big dandelion, and I'm going to stamp that onto my, this is going to be the inside of my card, and I'm going to stamp that to that side, and then I'm also going to do my envelope. So we've got a decorated envelope like that. And then I've cut myself a circle. This is using the stitched shapes. This is the smallest circle. And I'm going to stamp off my big stamp one time. And then I'm going to pop that in over the entire thing. So I've got just a vague outline. And then I'm going to use the Magenta Madness, which is the same colour as the Designer Series paper, here. And that's where I'm going to stamp my wishes. So, excuse me if my head gets in while I just line this up. There we go. Oh, not too bad. All right, so we're going to pop this piece inside. And so when you got it closed, you've still got something nice to look at. I'm going to cut a layer. This is the Story Label punch, and I'm just cutting a layer with some grey granite, and just to make it pop a little bit, put some adhesive on the back. Stick that on, let that set a moment. There, and a few stamping dimensionals to hold those in place. Now this is going to hang over here slightly. If you look, it's just going to, well, it would, maybe I'd make it. Nope, I'm going to make it so it fits. The only thing I was thinking about is making sure I put the other dimensional in the right place so it didn't hang over and stick onto the card. So we're going to pop that like that, just so it centers up. I'm using the coordinating ribbon. This is like the 1/4 inch, sort of, it's kind of a cotton weave. And I've made myself a bow. And where shall I stick it? I think I'll pop it there so it doesn't. And then we're going to have a couple of rhinestones, I think, just because we can, like that. And there we have. So there's my original card where I cut it, as I say, the opposite way to get the opposite effect. And then I've got one other. So where I've used Designer Series paper on these ones, on this one I've just used ordinary cardstock, and I've just run that through with the Old World embossing folder. And then this is some of the new Halloween ribbon that I've used. It's gorgeous. It's silver. It's delicate, and it's perfect for a card. So again, if you follow the link underneath this video, it'll take you to my blog, and you'll be able to get the dimensions and the information on the supplies that I've used. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this one. I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.